The biggest vision that evolved was to recognize that there's a lot of practice of user-centered design in sanitation, but no broad understanding of what has worked, what hasn't worked, what are the tools that are being used, what are the things we can say now that lead to failure, what are the things now we can say, hey, you really ought to do this.
Gates is really interested in advancing user-centered design in sanitation. There's a lot of people doing great work, practicing user-centered design in their day-to-day, picking up new tools and frameworks. They felt the time was right to bring them together to share their experiences. They were about creating a space for uncensored sharing, like no high-level jargon, but an opportunity for practitioners to share their work in vivid detail about what works, what doesn't work, and begin to sort of process some of that and see if there's some trends of lessons learned. This event was held in Seattle, Washington, at the beautiful, modern campus of the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. People came from around the world for this event. They came from Senegal, they came from Kenya, they came from Cambodia, they came from India, Bangladesh, and it was so exciting to see the diversity of organizations, geographies be together for these 3 days. The audience for this event were practitioners, and they came hungry to learn about new tools, new frameworks that would help them immediately after the workshop. So we created a tool clinic, leveraging some of the senior experts in our group.
Looking back at 3 days together, there's a number of takeaways that emerge, and for me the biggest one was the confirmation that yes, we do have a ton of experience in different places, in different projects, different organizations, in the use of user-centered design in sanitation. The other thing that really stood out for me in these 3 days is the willingness people had to truly dive into what they had done, explore it, share failure, which is a tricky thing sometimes. We would help the participants to share their experience and encourage others to try to use the user-centered design approaches, particularly sharing with partners that we talked about. How do we bring the government on board? How do we expand this practice to other organizations? How do we convince funders that it is worth to use this approach, even if it takes a bit more money and a bit more time to get things right?
I really feel this is just the beginning. I think there's a tremendous need for organizations like this to continue talking and to continue sharing, to continue being candid and uncensored about the work they're doing. This way we can all improve our practice in user-centered design, but ultimately that affects results, and hopefully we'll have a bigger impact in scaling up sanitation around the globe.